So this is going to be a tutorial on a hand routine that will probably take somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes to do. And you can shorten it if you want to. I'm going to show you all the different typical moves that we do for the hand. The difference between the hand and the feet is that the hand is much less sensitive. So you can really press into points a little bit more generally. And also the hand is really curvy, and the hand is used to being very armored. It's less sensitive, and it takes a lot more to get to the points. So whereas in the foot we hold the foot up like this, with the hand we tend to keep the hand as relaxed as possible, because when you keep the hand relaxed you can get deeper into the tissue and into the points on the hand. Of course, the first thing you're going to do is look over the hand and see if there are any bruises, any cuts, scrapes. Actually, hands do get warts. If there are any warts, then you would stay away from that. Rashes. Also, you want to look to see if there's any sign of stress. Like some people, they use their hands repetitively in different ways. So you would check in with the person and ask them, do you have any strain or stress in your hand? And we have all of those stress markers that you can check out, that we've handed out to you, that you can check for their hands, see if they have calluses and so forth. She has a little callus here, probably because she uses a cane on this side. Is that right?
That's right.
So, so you see that I can feel that, and there's stress in her hand there. So while she's using a cane, she's actually pressing into this part of her hand, which is an interesting thing to note. She also has some extra stress right in this part of the hand here, right below the fourth metacarpal, just below, right in there. It's more like a callus or a bump than it's not. It doesn't seem like it's any kind of an actual deposit. So I don't know if you can see that if I stretch the skin, you can see there's a little bit of a lumpy spot there. It's probably just some extra tissue that has formed there, maybe also because of her using a cane. I don't know for sure. But are your hands hurting in any way right now?
No.
Her hands aren't hurting. Do you think that it would be all right to work around on all parts of your hand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So, of course, the first thing we're going to do after looking over the hand very carefully is we're going to do some relaxation. And what we're trying to do, actually, for the hand is open it up. Because the hand, like I said, is usually much more protected. It has a tendency to not be as open and receptive to any kind of manipulation. So what we want to do is try to open it up. And also a lot of times, because we use our hands to press up, do this and do that, the bones are jammed in certain ways at the wrist sometimes. So we're just gonna do we're gonna work on the right side first, because in general we work on the right side first. Two reasons I can think of off the top of my head: the lymph system moves that way, and also the elimination, the colon works that way. So I'm actually going to go right hand to right hand, instead of the way you just saw a second ago. Right hand to right hand, and take my left hand, and I'm going to lock it over the bones, now just in front of the bones, actually, right here. I'm not going to be up here above, and I'm not going to be on the bones, but right here, just below the wrist bones here. I'm going to go right there. So I can hold that, and then I can stretch. So this way, so I've got something to push against here, but I'm not actually pushing as much as I'm just stationary there. And I'm using this hand here, squeezing very well between all the fingers and stretching it out like this. Now the goal of this is not necessarily rotation or any kind of movement in different directions. It's just a stretch. So we're just, when I loosen it, it looks like the hand kind of falls back gently, But I'm not actually going like this. You know, this isn't this kind of move. It's not the purpose of it, although it might feel good. I'm not saying it's not an enjoyable thing, but our purpose in this one is to give some space there for the wrist. So as later we're going to work right on the wrist, and we want to be able to get into that area. In one form of reflexology that I've learned and I've practiced, they say that right around the wrist here, where all the zones come through, there are actually zonal triggers in there. And so when we get further into reflexology, combining, holding 2 points and that sort of thing, we'll sometimes take a hold of a wrist point, and then we'll hold something else on the foot, or something else on the hand. So that's this, as well as on the foot, across which we call the groin reflex area, is actually also a place where all the zones come through in a compact way, and you can actually work on different triggers in those areas. And you'd be surprised if they have something going on in a certain zone, of their body. This also shows up in the trigger areas. So we're stretching and opening this area. It's very important technique. And I would say do it about maybe 5-6 times, just stretch it out. You could do more if you have more time. If you're going to spend all the time on the hands, then of course you can do all of these things longer. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to do a metacarpal stretch. So you can't see what my hands are doing underneath, but basically they're just anchoring. And I'm stretching from the top. So I'm using my own fleshy part of the thinner eminence here on my hands to stretch like this around in different areas. This is a stretch still. We're just stretching. So I'm not digging in. I'm not finding points underneath. I'm just using my fingers underneath as a lever, and I'm stretching. Stretching, 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 stretching. Just work your way around the hand in different ways. If you want, you can even come inside like this. Just different ways of stretching. Oops, my shoulder raised. That wasn't good. So if I were going to do that, I'd back up a little bit so my shoulder didn't raise. So you get comfortable, of course, with them being comfortable by adding a pillow for this work. So her hand is resting in my lap on a pillow. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't have a pillow, and it makes it more difficult and awkward. The idea is you don't really want to have anyone's hand on your lap